Deputy Kenny, and let me remind you, 5 minutes in total.
I'll be quite brief.
In total.
Minister, I just wanted to take task with your statement at the start of the debate in relation to the Public Service Commission. And you said something that's the heart of this kind of dispute. And its findings from the Commission says that pay could not be found to be one of the determinant factors. Now, do you believe that anymore? Because at the heart of this dispute is pay and retention and respect of nursing staff. Minister, next week we could have a 3-day dispute in our hospitals, which will cause untold damage to your government and the people that use it. This is about pay, and you have to recognise if you do not pay the nurses, this will come back to haunt your government. So you cannot afford to pay the nurses. So do you still believe in the Public Service Pay Commission, what they say? Is this not about pay?
Very simple. Do you accept that we have unsafe staffing levels in our hospitals? That 1 to 4 is what we should have, and it's more like 1 to 8 to 1 to 11, and that you are chronically short, hundreds of nurses short of safe staffing levels in psychiatric and mental health services.
Bríd Smith, a question.
On the same issue, I did outline to you in my introduction that there's a possibility, and it's given to you from the Nurses Union, of saving up to 600 million a year if you implement the ratio, the safe ratio that has been outlined by the INMOU. And would you comment on that, please, and give us an indication as to whether you think that's absolutely possible or not? Now, I will say this to you. You're saying you won't talk about pay, but you've shifted because you would only send the HSE to the WRC to talk to the unions for weeks leading up to the dispute. You're now saying you will talk. When we shout outside the picket lines, we say, open your purses and pay the nurses. And Minister, you have the purses, and the purses are full. In different ways, you can find things to pay for military spending, to bail out bankers, to pay off bondholders, to do many things, including your bid to win a security seat at the UN Council, $500,000 spent on it.
Thank you.
Please open the purses and think creatively about how you pay the nurses and make the savings when you employ the staff that are required.
Minister.
Kenny's question and Deputy Smith's question, and Minister Harris will deal with
2 minutes
one from Minister Deputy Boyd Barrett. In relation to Deputy Kenny's question, I still accept and stand by the analysis and the recommendations that was offered by the Public Service Pay Commission. It is independent. It has an independent composition. And recommendations came from that did acknowledge that there could be targeted changes that are made, in particular in relation to allowances, that at that point were unlikely to trigger any competing claims from elsewhere in our public service. So yes, that is a piece of work that I still accept and still stand by, and I do believe it, and I accept the analysis that was offered. In relation to the point there that Deputy Smith made about our willingness to engage, particularly in the latter phase of what has happened from the middle phase of this on, my own Department of Public Expenditure and Reform has been present in the engagements along with representatives of Minister Harris, and I would certainly envisage that if we do find a way, which myself and Minister Harris are committed to doing, of moving beyond where we are at the moment, that will continue to be the case.
And just on the question from Deputy Boyd Barrett and Deputy Smith in relation to safe staffing levels. So firstly, I'm pleased that we ended the embargo on recruitment and we're actually recruiting more nurses and midwives, but I accept we still have a way to go, and I don't dispute that at all. You are entirely right. We have agreed with a task force on safe staffing and skill mix, which the unions have accepted, which is the framework, which is government policy, which has a science and an evidence base behind how many nurses and what other skills also do you need on each and every ward. We have rolled that out to a number of wards and a number of hospitals. There is room to do more in that. And myself and Minister Donohoe have been very clear in our utterances in recent days. These are the sort of discussions we want to be having with nursing unions through intensive engagement using the industrial relations mechanisms.